All right, today I'm going to share with you probably the most valuable little strategy that I've ever used in 30 plus years of being in professional sales, being an entrepreneur. And that's what we're going to cover in today's episode. All right, what's up, my friend? Todd Falcone here. Welcome back to another episode. And today I'm going to share with you what I believe is probably one of the, if not the most valuable daily habit that has served me well over 3.5, almost 4 decades as both a professional salesperson, a network marketer, and also as a speaker, trainer slash coach, whatever you might want to call me. So, and I'm kind of boggled at how few people actually do this. What I find is kind of interesting. People that have been around for a while, people like myself, or people that are around 15, 20 years, many of them do it, but a lot of them actually don't. I had two conversations last week. One with a woman who's I've known for over, I don't know, over 20 years. She was an original diva in a series. It was the second audio series I ever produced called The Dynamic Divas of Networking. It's a great interview series, by the way. And then another one was with my buddy Dan, who I've known for, I got to think, almost 35 years. And in both of these examples, these individuals actually do this thing that I'm going to share with you. And we have all agreed in the conversations we've had about this that like this is such a great habit to be in. Like, check this out. And look, this would serve you well if you're in sales, if you're a realtor, you're an account executive, you're a whatever the term is in your sales job or occupation, or honestly, even if you're a small business owner, anybody that has customers, clients, and wants to over deliver or exceed one's expectations and make whoever it is that you're doing business with rave about you in the greatest way. Because like word of mouth's really interesting. Word of mouth is either going to, if you do somebody wrong or like a mistake happens, everybody loves to go out and blab all over the world about how you did them wrong. And so word of mouth, interestingly enough, is unfortunately more powerful when it comes to negative stuff than it is for the positive. But, you do somebody right and they'll end up talking about you. So the habit, and I'm kind of going to set this up, is something that if you are in sales, if you're in network marketing, if you're in a business where you're engaging in relationships, communication with people, then I think this should be an absolute must do, because it just makes you appear different. And there's a lot of things that you can do. I'm thinking about an experience one time. I was with my brother, and this is like one example of like over delivering. Okay. Let's see if I can recall this exact experience. We walked into this pizza joint right around the corner from his house, and we're sitting there, and we walk in. It's a very busy, popular pizza place, and we were there to pick up, I don't know, a couple of pies. And so as we're waiting, we greeted the front person. Hey, we're here to pick up an order. Pick up for a couple pizzas. The people in that restaurant were obviously clearly trained to pay attention to people in the restaurant so that they're not just standing there waiting. We've all experienced, for example, a situation where you walk into a restaurant or you sit down at a table and it's like, do they even know that you were sat down? I mean, you're there 20 minutes and nobody's even come up and brought you, a couple glasses of water or something. And you're already going, okay, I don't know if this restaurant's any good. You haven't even tried the food, but the customer service leads a lot to be desired for. And what was interesting, there were a couple of experiences. Now, this is kind of off the subject, but definitely on the subject of super serving or over delivering on one's expectations. It was interesting because people would walk by and they would see us and they would get eye contact with us. They're like, oh, has anybody helped you yet? And I remember being there with my brother, and there was at least three people that three different people that just made sure that they came up and gave us eye contact and made sure that we were taken care of. And I remember talking to my brother and I was like, wow, these guys are on it. And like leaders, like what happens in an organization, whether it's a restaurant or a sales organization or whatever, is, is a reflection of the leadership. So these people don't do this just typically, they don't do this just because of the, oh, this is what I should do. It's like they were clearly trained to make sure you pay attention to the people that are in the front. And then there was like a little, there was a little like bowl of, I don't know, some kind of candy, right? And I said, I'm waiting around for the pizza because we ordered the pizza and we got there much earlier than the pizza should have been ready. And we're sitting around and I don't know, I grabbed a chocolate or something and I'm fiddling with the wrapper. And the manager of the restaurant's like, hey, like he by the way, didn't have to do this, but the attention to detail. This is the whole point of today. The attention to detail was so phenomenal. Like he literally sees me kind of fiddling with the wrapper. He's like, hey, can I take that? I'm like, oh yeah, sure. So he takes the wrapper. I mean, something stupid and simple, but it left like an indelible impression on both my brother and I about just their attention to detail, attention to just making sure that we were well taken care of. And here I am, like, I don't even know. It's got to be 15 plus years later that I'm still talking about it. Now, I could go on for the next 45 minutes and share example after example of great experiences where people over delivered, they exceeded my expectation. And I can also give you examples of the exact opposite. And I'm sure you can think of those things. In fact, as a little side note, because I never use notes for these, I just think of a thought and then I go. There's a little exercise that I've taught for many years, and I think it would be, as I then get into the habit, this would be a good exercise for you to go through, and then hopefully you adopt the habit that I'm going to share with you. So we are either attracted or repelled by things people do and say, right? You like, for example, I was in, where was I? I was in Telluride, Colorado, with Carla's two nephews, and we were skiing, and there was not very much snow. And honestly, everybody in town was kind of grumpy. And I'll never forget this. There's two experiences. One, I was sitting at the bar and I asked nicely, I was like, hey, could I get a menu, please? The bartender basically threw the menu at me. I think it actually hit me in the head, if I'm not mistaken. I was like, wow, okay. That's kind of okay. Was unnecessary. And then in another restaurant that same week, her nephew CK gets a calzone, and I don't know what, I think it was like a pepperoni and olive calzone or something like that. And he gets into eating it, and a few bites into it, like you got the whatever you call it, the crust on the outside, and you got to get into where the sauce and the stuff is. So he's a few bites into it. And he's kind of looking in there and he's like, I don't think there was something missing, man. I think it was maybe the pepperoni was missing. And he kind of peels it open and there was like no pepperoni in it. And he's like the calzone's about this big and he's up just kind of into the corner enough to be able to see if there's anything in there or not. And he kind of peels it open and he's like, there's no pepperoni in my pepperoni and olive calzone. And so he calls the waitress over and he's like, I'm sorry. He goes, I ordered pepperoni and olive. There's like no pepperoni in my calzone. And she's like, well, she goes, you didn't have to eat all of it. And I'm like, okay. And then she said, well, something like, well, what do you want me to do about it? And it was just interesting. I mean, it could have been, oh, I'm so sorry. Like, okay, we'll go get you a new one or our mistake, whatever it might be. And like, just think about the impression. Sometimes it's like people don't listen. Like listening is one of the greatest habits and greatest qualities, which is all leading into, by the way, my main point of today's lesson. When you have to sometimes be like, listening is unfortunately not a supernatural thing for somebody. You would think, okay, God gave you 2 ears, 1 mouth, spend more time listening, less time talking. Naturally, people would probably listen, but they're so oftentimes caught up in stuff, they don't hear the important things that somebody is telling. If you're on the phone with the prospect, for example, and they say something and you are so thinking about the next thing that you needed to say, or thinking about, I don't know, something else going on in your life, you didn't even pick up on the clue that they gave you. I mean, here's another quick story. I know, I guess I'm laying out the stories today, but like, so I live on a golf course. We're a member of the golf club here. And let's just say the kitchen has left so much to be desired. Food's okay, but it's the lack of attention to detail. I actually resigned from my golf club. It's a private golf club that I resigned from because of the repeated, nonstop lack of listening when we would order food. Like, literally, we got known in the golf club as being the people that they had to go do another order for. They'd have to give us some kind of gift card because they screwed up so many times. Like, I would order, okay, I'd like a plain cheeseburger, cheese and beef only, nothing else. I always come home, lettuce, tomato, sauce, whatever. I can't tell you how many, too many times to count. It's like, and then I got to the point, okay, look, listen, I would like a cheeseburger, the beef and cheese, no sauce, no lettuce, no nothing, the bun, a burger patty with cheese, and nothing more. And believe it or not, they still screwed that up, which is kind of fascinating. So, we could get into a conversation like, why don't people listen? Do they not care? I don't know what it is. But if you're in network marketing, if you're in sales, if you're running a company and you have that engagement, that interaction with people, you need to know how important it is to show through your actions that you actually give a damn, and not be like in one ear and out the other, or not be like so focused on something like you're like over here, but you're on the phone, or you're in a meeting. You have to be present. And I realize that takes an effort, and it does. But if you fail to do it, you're going to end up having people that come to the realization that you really don't care, and you're going to lose business as a result of it. So one of the habits that, I got into too many years ago to even count, and, I've been a student of the game, student of selling, student of marketing, student of leadership. Like, really, when I started my journey, I wanted to be successful. So what do successful people do, and what do people that fail do? I don't want to go down the failure road. I want to go down the success road. So I read books, attended seminars, went to courses, got coaching, like everything I could get my hands on, and still do, that would enable me to be as good as I possibly could in let's say in network marketing. Okay. So every seminar I could go to, every event, every book, every anything, any leader that I could listen to that was making more than me, whatever I could do. If you were making more than me and you had more success, you had more experience, and you can share something with me that I don't yet know, then I'm all ears. And unfortunately, not everybody's like that. And yet they wonder, why am I not succeeding? And one of the very basic things that I learned a long time ago, can't remember who said it, what book, I don't recall where it came from. And it's not like it's going to be this like, oh, Todd, I've never heard that before. It's like, okay, the very basics that people tend to engage with others or do business with individuals or companies that they have a positive feeling about. Like, okay, we can say I will do business with you because I trust you. I like you. I feel good about you. If I don't trust you, if I don't like you, I don't feel good about you, then I'm probably not. I mean, you might get my money once, but probably not going to get it again. And we can all, I'm sure you can think of some examples of, people you've done business with. Once they got your money, they were gone, never to be heard from again. And this is so rampant. It's unbelievably rampant. Okay. And the sad part is, it's not that difficult. It's not like, oh, Todd, you're all of this work. Like, oh my gosh, man, it sounds so laborious. Like, I'm exhausted at the thought of what you're sharing with me today. I just can't do it. It's like, dude, yeah, you can. Like, here's the thing. Like, I've never owned a restaurant. Okay. I worked outside of a restaurant as a valet, never worked inside of a restaurant. But I can tell you, from just being a person who's gone into restaurants, I would be pretty damn good at running a restaurant. Okay. I mean, I don't know all the details of running the inventory and whatever, but okay. From a business perspective, I could run an absolutely very successful restaurant because I know what I like. I know what people want to experience when they come in. They want to be taken care of. Oh, they don't want to be like, oh, my glass is empty and we've been sitting here for 20 minutes trying to get a refill on something. They want good food. They want good service. They want somebody who's going to greet them with a smile. They want a good attitude. It's not that hard, right? They want somebody that if you order something, you get what you order. Oh, well, my wife is allergic to, what's she allergic? She's allergic to a few things, but cranberries. So she orders a salad with no cranberries, and then there's piles of cranberries all over the salad. You know, whatever. It's just like, it's not that hard. Okay. Now, I also realize that the human brain, for most of us, uh, I'm pretty miraculous with memorizing numbers. Like I have numbers from way back. Like I can remember, like I could rattle off phone numbers of so many people right now that are in my, that I don't even call that regularly, but I can remember their phone numbers. I don't, that's one thing my brain can do, but I can't remember all of the little things that are quite frankly more important than remembering your phone number, like who your favorite sports team is, or what company, last time we talked, what company are you involved in, or what your wife's name is, or, where you live, or where you went to school, or little things that come up in conversation. So one of the things, and this is, I got into two of these conversations last week before I took off to my river property. And these are both like veterans of the business. And it's interesting because in this case, these two individuals do exactly what I'm talking about. Actually earlier today, or at least depends on when you watch this, but I called my buddy and I've known him for over 30 years. All right, we met in network marketing in like 1992 or something like that. So I called him, like we talked last week and we had a discussion about something. And I said, look, I'm taking off to the river property tomorrow. I will call you on Monday. And I called him. Today is Monday, at least when I'm recording this. And he's like, it was interesting. He goes, I had this moment and he's like, is Todd is he going to call me? And then I was like, yeah, of course he is. Cause that's what Todd does. But I had this moment where is Todd going to actually call me? And I kind of laughed. I'm like, dude, of course I was going to call you. He goes, I know you were going to call me, but I had this because I'm so used to people that say they're going to do something and then then they don't do it. He goes, I'm surrounded by people that make promises and never fulfill those obligations or promises. Even like simple things like, hey, look, I got you on my calendar for Monday. I had another one this morning. I had to ship out a bunch of actually perfect because it's exactly what I'm going to talk about. Unfortunately, I can't make these available to you anymore. So that's kind of the downside, but it's funny. I had a phone call on Saturday when I was at the river property and my friend Karen called me up and she goes, hey, I'm going to this thing and I've got these people that really need to do what you and I are really good at, which is making sure you keep good records and take great notes on people that you're doing business with. And most of these people are pretty new and they just don't have this happening. Great. Do you have any of those booklets? Right. And the booklet she's referring to is this, which is interestingly enough on my desk. I actually shipped out 20 of them to her today, to a hotel she's going to be staying at for an event. Now, again, I didn't, honestly, I didn't plan really hardly anything that I was going to say in this other than the main message. So no, you can't get these. All right. Sorry. But I have enough for me. I know it's kind of weird. It's like, Todd, are you greedy? No, I've got probably about 50 or 100 of these left and I'm saving them for myself because I use these every day. However, you can use what I used for probably 15 years before I had these things made. Or even if you're using a yellow pad and pen, most people don't do this. Like if I'm sitting here talking to you right now, like we're having our first conversation, this is the great separator. And I'm learning something about you. Like where you live, or what your wife's name is, or what your daughter's name is, or where your daughter's going to school. I had a conversation with my friend Becky last week and literally, in fact, I know for a fact that I'm not going to show you, but she is probably she's the second to last entry, right? And so I have notes. I'm not going to show you the notes because you don't, but you can see there's notes there. I keep a chronological That means in order of in time, right? So 8:32 a.m., 9 o'clock a.m., 9:15 a.m. On the date, name, phone number, notes, what we talked about for every single bit of business building activity that I do. And this habit has served me so incredibly well. I have a record. And if you've plugged into me for a while, I'm sure I've talked about this before. And if you've heard me talk about this before, my question to you is, are you doing it? And if you're not doing it and why? Give me in the comments. You're like, yeah, Todd, I know you've been doing this for years, but I don't do it. Tell me why. Give me like a rational reason why someone like myself, who's got a habit that served them incredibly well and has made them a ton of money, why you wouldn't do it when it literally, it's like I'm sitting here, I got a pen here and I got this thing on my desk. And as we're having a conversation, I'm like, whatever thing I might want to remember in the future, I put it, I put it in the notes. And then because I know I'm going to have a conversation with you and my contact manager, bang, I just transfer the notes there. So I've got a record, and I've got, just so you know, I've got unless it's like a family member that blood, I've got notes on pretty much every contact that I have. And I've got over 7,200 contacts in my phone. I don't have a guy named Bob or Sally, first name and no notes. And I don't even know who Bob is. I guarantee some of you watching this, oh yeah, I got a bunch of those. I don't even know who they are. I don't have any of those people in my phone. And in a people business, in a relationship capital business, you're not keeping good records. That to me is, you're just pissing money out the door. You're wasting away opportunities. Like if you're like, and by the way, network marketing is sales. Okay. If you're in a traditional sales game, you should be doing this. If you're in direct selling, network marketing, you should be doing this. Now, if you think you're not going to be here next month and this is a hobby for you, and probably shouldn't be watching me anyhow, because no need to watch me if you're a hobbyer and you're going to be here for a week and you're going to be out of here next week. So you could probably go watch TV or something. I don't know. Do whatever it is you're going to do. But if you're serious about being successful in this business, then my suggestion is, hey, do a good job. All you got to do is sit here and in fact, literally the last record, okay, I left a guy a voice message on WhatsApp, okay? So I have his name, and I just says LM regarding Spanish books, and a couple of other notes that I have. So I actually have a record that I keep, because I don't know. I mean, you get busy, and the next day, did I call him? Did I reach out? I've got records on that. I've got notes on that. And so then also, because I've got it in, here's what a blank sheet looks like. You don't get these, sorry. I know you're like, well, why are you doing a video talking about his thing? Because you can figure out how to do this. I'm just not selling this anymore. It is what it is. Okay. These are for me. But well, I'll tell you the thing that I use. Okay. And you can go to Amazon or wherever you go. It's the thing that I use, and I didn't think about this, but I've got a bunch of used ones. It's the Adams, ADAMS, S1135. That's the item number. You can get a bunch, and it's basically the same thing. It's just slightly differently designed, but I used that thing for over 10 years before I made this for myself. I don't care how you do it, but I think you should do it. And you might be going, oh, why should I do it, Todd? Because your brain, I'm not going to insult you, but your brain's not good enough to remember everything that's important that you need to remember about an individual and about what happened in the previous conversation. Like I have notes, date, whatever we talked about, the next date that we talked, whatever we talked about, next date. Some of you guys, I guarantee you, you've been in your network marketing company for so long. Good for you, by the way. You've been around for a while. And you're thinking, oh, I'm sure I talked to Justin about the business. I'm sure I did. Your buddy Justin that, popped into your mind. But you don't, maybe you did, maybe you didn't. You're like, man, because things can kind of blend into each other. And you're like, did I ever talk to Justin about my business? And you don't know, because you think you did, but maybe you didn't. And you probably didn't, but maybe you did, but you don't know. Well, I would know, because it would say 8/27 of 2017 showed Justin the business was remodeling his house and said, get back to him in 6 months. Oh, shoot, I failed to get back to him in 6 months. Well, I wouldn't, because I keep good notes and I would have put him on my calendar for 6 months later. But this just makes you more powerful. It shows that you care. Honestly, it shows that you listen. Because even if you're a good listener, and I think I'm a pretty good listener, there are times where I'm not going to remember everything that you told me. So if I'm getting ready to make a call to you right now, I just go right up here, open up my address book to your contact record, and breeze through real quickly. I can see what we talked about. Okay, cool. And, if something happened with, a family member, 2 months ago, the last time we talked, I'm like, hey, how's your brother-in-law doing, by the way? Because I would have had a note on that. Had I not had the note, maybe I wouldn't have remembered. And then they're all of a sudden going, wow, you actually do care. And I do care. I'm not just pulling the note out because I don't care. I wrote the note because I care enough to write the note. And again, in a business that's based on building relationships and the fact that people tend to want to do business with individuals that they like and trust and feel good about, it's going to lead to more business for you. Okay. So that's my message for the day. I hope you guys don't just take the message and blow it off. You can. I don't think it'll serve you well by doing that, but that's totally your choice. Now, if you're on my YouTube channel, what's up, YouTubers? Appreciate you guys. If you're on my podcast as well, thank you, thank you, thank you. I appreciate you as well. I'd love to hear your comments. Love to hear your feedback. The rest of the details on this episode are right here at toddfalcone.com/episode 338. toddfalcone.com/episode 338. Dawn is calling me, so I'm going to take this and we're going to end this episode and we'll see you on the next one. All right, we'll see you.